10 business lessons from Socrates. Imagine a world where today's most powerful leaders were once students of a man who asked more questions than he answered. A world where the most innovative ideas were born from the most basic questions. Welcome to Socrates' world, where the art of questioning has been the secret to success for centuries. In this video, we'll explore the 10 business lessons that Socrates can teach us about making better decisions, building stronger teams, and achieving lasting success. From the importance of self-awareness to the power of dialogue, we'll dive into the timeless wisdom of Socrates and show you how to apply it in your business today. Are you ready to learn from the master of questioning and take your business and personal learning to the next level? A long time ago, in the 5th century BC, Athens, it was common to see sophists speaking at public gatherings. Sophists were the content marketers of the day and were skilled at persuading audiences to buy into their thoughts, ideas, and belief systems. A young teacher called Socrates started taking part in these debates and, over time, became a master. So good, in fact, that the respectable Athenian society soon christened him the wisest man in Athens. But that wasn't a label that sat well with Socrates, because he started to think the sophists were wrong. For him, being wise wasn't about selling your ideas or showing off your knowledge. Being wise, Socrates thought, isn't about knowing anything at all. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing, he said. But an interesting twist here. Socrates never wrote down his thoughts, but his student Plato wrote them down instead. Today, Socrates' wisdom is helping people in the business world. His ideas create an exciting, focused, and intense way of working. The goal is always to get the best results for everyone involved. So we found 10 important life lessons from Socrates that can help us to have better business practices. Let's go back to ancient Greece and look at some of Socrates' greatest thoughts that are becoming popular in modern business. We'll answer all of your questions. Who was Socrates? Where is he from? How did he become so wise? How can we use his lessons in real life? Why do we still study him today? What did Plato say about him? Who started philosophy? What did Socrates teach? What was his motto? What did he look like? What's the best way to live life? Get ready to be amazed by the man who would have been #1 on the Forbes most influential list if it existed in his time. Discover how Socrates' method can create an engaging, driven, and intense way of working that focuses on the best results for everyone. Let's jump right in. #1, wonder on a regular basis. Socrates said all philosophy begins with wonder. This isn't just true for philosophy, it's the foundation of every successful business venture. Wonder isn't something you're born with like brown eyes or freckles. It's a skill anyone can develop, and Socrates wanted to teach us how. We often confuse wonder with curiosity, but they're different. Curiosity is restless, always chasing the next shiny thing. Wonder stays. Wonder is curiosity, kick back, feet up, drink in hand. In today's business world, we don't make much room for wonder. The relentless grind of meetings and deadlines leaves little space for the expansive thinking that leads to breakthroughs. Imagine if Steve Jobs hadn't wondered what would happen if you combined a phone with a computer. This device was born because of the space given to wonder. I personally create space for wonder by disconnecting from work and doing something completely different. I love going to live music events, usually reggae or hip hop, and anything related to soca or carnival. The vibe I get from being around my friends allows me to see the world from a different lens to the time I'm in the office, and it's often when I get my best ideas. In fact, my organization, Ultra Education, was born out of me seeing my daughter at 7 years old picking up entrepreneurial traits from me and wondering, what if all 7-year-olds could learn entrepreneurship? #2, slow down. Wonder takes time. Just like a good meal or a meaningful all-hands meeting, it can't be rushed. Socrates warned against the barrenness of a busy life. He never hurried his conversations, even when others grew impatient. Similarly, good leaders don't rush decisions. They know the power of a pause. A pause isn't a glitch, it's an opportunity. It's the fertile ground where ideas grow. That's why effective managers encourage their teams to take regular, thoughtful pauses, because it's in these moments of stillness that true innovation happens. Just a few days ago, one of my team got an email from a strategic partner with a query we didn't immediately know the answer for. It was about a budget issue for an upcoming event we were planning with them. Basically, they didn't want to pay us what we'd quoted. Anyway, this particular team member likes to keep constant communication with partners and felt under pressure to respond immediately. But I encouraged them to slow down and let us take a few days to process a response, and reminded them that the partner took about a week to reply to us. After taking that time, we were able to formulate a reply that eventually got the partner to meet our quote without ruffling their feathers, which is the thing my team member really wanted to avoid. an absolute win for us by taking the time to slow down our response. Number 3, don't just ask questions, experience them. Half the world doesn't know what they're solving. The business world, especially in the startup tech sector, is obsessed with solving problems. But Socrates would ask, are we solving the right problems? We can't solve problems if we don't first ask the right questions. Jacob Needleman, a modern-day philosopher, says our culture often tries to solve problems without truly experiencing the questions behind them. Experiencing questions means sitting with them, pondering them deeply before rushing to solutions. It's about living with the question, letting it unfold naturally. Let me explain. Y Combinator, the most highly regarded tech incubator in the world, came up with the acronym SISP, or a solution in search of a problem. The example they gave is entrepreneurs nowadays looking at AI and thinking, what problem can I solve, or what tech startup can I get off the ground using AI? Artificial intelligence is the solution, but with an unknown problem, whereas what entrepreneurs should be doing is experiencing a problem. For example, in our case, looking for government contracts requires a lot of manual filtering, searching, cross-checking with guidelines and criteria, which an AI could absolutely automate. I'm aware that there's a US startup called Sweet Spot who are doing this for the States, but I'm not sure about the UK. Now, having failed with a long list of ideas before I found those which really worked, it dawned on me that a shortcut to sitting with the right questions was simply asking your customer base a series of simple questions, like, what do you like about the product? What do you hate about the product? What competing products do you use or would consider using? Now, and that very simple line of inquiry you'll find will open up a whole new set of perspectives and nuances by which you can find the golden fleece angle you'll need to deliver a solution that directly responds to the needs, the urgent needs, more importantly, of your customer base. Number 4, question assumptions, especially your own. We rarely question what seems obvious. Socrates thought this was a mistake. The more obvious something seems, the more urgently it needs to be questioned. He challenged everyone from poets to generals and found that they often didn't understand what they thought they knew. In business, this means questioning even the most accepted practices. Like, why do we have an open plan office? Is it because every startup in Silicon Valley has one? I mean, you assume it leads to a more communicative workforce and greater productivity, but it can also lead to more distractions. A friend of mine who works remotely for a branch of government said to me in passing that his employer gets more out of him when he's working from home than when he's actually in the office, because there's a ton of water cooler conversations, going for walks, popping to the shops at lunchtime, which is all very normal in the office, but at home, he does none of that and just gets on with the work. Now, getting back to the point, a good leader isn't afraid to say, I don't know. This kind of humility opens the door to true understanding and true innovation. A good leader isn't afraid to annoy people with their obvious questions, just like Socrates, who so annoyed the good people of Athens that they even tried to execute him. Ask yourself, what questions am I avoiding? What assumptions am I taking for granted? These seemingly simple questions can lead to the deepest insights. When one of our kidpreneurs was launching their business recently, I got them to hone in on one critical success factor they were taking for granted. The fact that they were a kid. It meant, I thought, that they could add a wow factor tax to their product of maybe about 25% on top of the sell price, because when people see them, a 14-year-old selling their fashion line, they'd be so impressed and taken in by the young entrepreneur's story of coming from a place of real hardship to now becoming a business owner. The value of the overall packaging justifies the price point. Thankfully, I was right, and they sold out at our last event, which was a relief that the theory does actually play out to be true. Number 5, define your terms. Socrates was meticulous about definitions. He believed we can't solve problems without understanding the terms we use. In business, this means rejecting vague and pretentious jargon. Insist on clear, simple language. As Einstein said some 2,000 years after Socrates, if you can't explain it simply enough, you don't know it well enough. And all of this sounds true today when people strive to be cool with their jargon in order to complete an agreement or a deal really quickly. I hope this piece of wisdom helps the young leaders out there today. When we first started My Social Enterprise Ultra Education with the ambition of teaching entrepreneurship to kids, we had to define the word itself. After giving myself the space to reflect on my own journey as an entrepreneur and thinking, how could I make it make sense to a 7-year-old, I came up with a definition which has stood the test of time, well, at least 10 years since we've been teaching this stuff, which is an entrepreneur is someone who does what they love and makes money from it. So whatever a 7 or 17-year-old loves doing, we believe, especially in this day and time, that there is a business and revenue model behind it. Number 6, talk to people. Now, let's talk about communication. Socrates was a world-class converser who would likely disapprove of our modern reliance on email, Slack, and other digital comms. He was even suspicious of the written word of his time, believing it to be lifeless, one-directional, and I can see his point. Socrates valued messy, full-throated conversation, what philosopher Robert Solomon called enlightened kibitzing. That is, it is through the natural give and take of discussion that we arrive at truths. Shut down your laptop, Socrates urges, disable Slack and talk. Maybe it can't be in person, fine, pick up the old-fashioned phone, but talk. You never know what breakthroughs might emerge. I remember when I first started my digital marketing agency way back in the day, and I went to a networking event in the city, and I was a little bit nervous being around all these professionals, didn't want to feel like a fish out of water, and maybe I had a little bit of imposter syndrome, until the moment when someone said to me, Julian, I'm trying to drive more traffic to my website. What should I do? And I'm kind of staring down at my feet and I'm like, well, maybe you should do this SEO thing, and it's what I've done for a client in the past, and we were able to optimize their site, improve their landing page, and after a while we managed to get them top rankings on Google, and everything was amazing with their business. And as I looked up, that one person that had asked me the question had turned into 15 people hanging off by every word. And that taught me that the more I can communicate the things that I know, the things that are of value to other business people, that maybe I had the makings of a successful enterprise in front of me. And I now know that we went on to start the first Black-owned digital agency in Europe back in 2005. Number 7, nothing is stable in this world. As an entrepreneur, you've probably been told to get a stable job and an income you can rely on rather than pursue your business venture. But Socrates points out that nothing is stable or predictable. Therefore, we shouldn't put too much emphasis on celebrating our achievements, and on the flip side, not put too much weight on our failures either. In adopting this mindset, we can learn that nothing is constant but change, and the only way to measure personal success in reality is our ability to navigate good and bad moments and keep moving ahead. In previous videos and in real life, I talk about equanimity, about being calm and composed, especially in difficult situations. The fact that in business, if you're pitching, bidding, or proposing for contracts, which is the case for my organization, there's a natural conversion rate, which means that you probably have to have more failed proposals or pitches than successful ones. All very normal. But if you allow your emotions to ebb and flow with the ups and downs of sometimes winning and sometimes losing those pitches, your nerves are going to be fried and your stress levels uncontrollable. The thing I do is see the perceived loss as a learning which I can take onto the next opportunity. And as long as I stay in the game, it means I'll get better over time, as long as I keep asking the right questions, of course. And in reality, if you track my journey as an entrepreneur over the last 20 years or so, this idea rings very true. I see it as the compounding of learning, which can create massive returns in the same way compounding does in an index fund or a stock market vehicle. Number 8, build critical thinking and logical reasoning. Socrates was a master of critical thinking and logical reasoning. In the business world, these skills are invaluable. By honing your ability to analyze situations, evaluate information objectively, and make sound judgments, you can easily get over complex challenges with clarity and precision. Developing a mindset of critical thinking allows you to see beyond the surface level issues and uncover deeper insights. Socrates employed the Socratic method, a form of questioning designed to expose inconsistencies in someone's thinking and lead to a deeper understanding of the truth. In business, this approach can be applied to problem solving, strategic planning, and decision making. By asking probing questions, challenging assumptions, and discovering multiple perspectives, you can arrive at a more informed, well-reasoned conclusion. In my last video, I talked about the fall of the influencer fueled drink many of you will know called Prime Energy or Prime Hydration. Now, if Logan Paul and KSI, who I give mad props for doing their thing over the last decade, carefully considered a lot more carefully and critically What would happen when the hype died down? Perhaps their drink wouldn't have fallen so sharply off the cliff. By definition, nothing trends forever, which is the point of a trend. It doesn't mean that you can't use the methodology of trending to boost in popularity for that time, but it does mean there needs to be a clear value proposition which follows the trend. In another video, recently I talked about the fact that Crocs piggybacked on the influence of artists and celebrities to create that inflection point they needed. But when the dust settled, the reason why Crocs are still where they are is because they are comfortable. The basic utility you require from a piece of footwear was met by the ugly shoemaker and therefore kept them in the game and not on the prime clearance shelf. Number 9. Foster open-mindedness and willingness to learn. Socrates was known for his open-mindedness and willingness to engage in dialogue with individuals of diverse backgrounds and perspectives. In the context of business, building an open mind is essential for innovation and growth. Being receptive to new ideas, feedback, and perspectives, you can continuously learn and adapt in a rapidly changing environment. As Socrates believed, I am wiser than this man, for neither of us appears to know anything great and good, but he fancies he knows a great deal and is wise, whereas as I do not know, so I do not fancy I do. By acknowledging the limits of our own knowledge and being open to learning from others, you create opportunities for personal and professional growth. The best example that I can give was when I was asked to enter the inaugural Virgin Unite competition, which was hailing founders from diverse backgrounds who have had a massive impact on the world. Now, I decided to enter the competition, but as part of the competition, we had to have a pitch coach. Now, my ego told me at the time, Julian, you've been pitching for 20 years. You do not need a pitch coach. But then the critical thinker in me said, you know what, Julian, put your white belt on, empty your glass of what you know, and let's see what you can receive from this pitch coach. And it was a simple nuance. In my pitch, this coach said that there were moments when I really triggered her emotionally in a positive way. And in a pitch environment, when you can trigger someone's emotions via a story or something that you've said or the way in which you've said it, you've now got them. You've now held their attention, and that makes a winning pitch. So she then said, all you now need to do is do that deliberately, because you've been doing it accidentally. But if you intentionally add that emotional trigger into your pitches, you're onto a winner. And to my great surprise, with the advice that I got from that pitch coach, we won the competition. Number 10, lead by example and uphold ethical principles. Socrates upheld ethical principles and believed in leading by example. In the business world, ethical leadership is extremely important for building trust, fostering a positive organizational culture, and sustaining long-term success. By demonstrating integrity, honesty, and accountability in your actions, you inspire others to follow suit and create a foundation of trust and respect in your entrepreneurial journey. As Socrates stated, the greatest way to live with honor in this world is to be what we pretend to be. By actually aligning your words with your actions, you gain credibility and earn the respect of your colleagues, employers, and stakeholders. I always say to young entrepreneurs, one of the greatest points of credibility you can deliver is to do what you say you're going to do. If you tell someone, a customer, partner, stakeholder, that you're going to deliver something, hit a deadline, be somewhere for a particular time, then stick to your word. It's a simple principle that I found in my own journey that the majority of people struggle to maintain. So it's the one I decided to major on. Upholding these principles, even in the face of challenges, sets a powerful example and contributes to the overall success and sustainability of your business. Remember, the path to transformative business success lies not only in mastering the technical skills, but also in working towards gaining wisdom, integrity, and a commitment to lifelong learning. By working towards these timeless principles of Socrates, you can channel your full potential as a leader, innovator, and ethical steward of your business. And that's a wrap, everyone. We've explored the 10 principles of Socrates for the entrepreneurial. We've explored the 10 principles of Socrates for entrepreneurial success and how they can transform your business. So what's the big takeaway? It's simple. Success isn't just about skills, it's about wisdom, integrity, and continuous learning. Socrates teaches us to focus on building the new, not fighting the old. With wonder, self-awareness, and ethical leadership, your business can reach new heights. So as you start your entrepreneurial journey, keep these words close by. The secret to change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Stay curious, humble, and true to your values. The future belongs to those who think differently and lead with integrity. Thanks for joining me. Keep learning, growing, and making a difference. That's all for now. Signing off until our next big lesson. Ultra and out.